Okay. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Yeah, sorry if I'm feeling kind of lethargic. I really wanted to get going here with some more energy, but something happened in the middle of the night last night, which caused me to not get very good sleep, and that's why that's my low for the day. My high was I got to spend the early evening with my dad. That was really nice. And, as an act of kindness, my dad wanted me to spend time with him, and so I did. So I did. He asked me to do something for him, and I did. So that was good. Okay, so where do I begin with what I was going to do today? Oh, right. I was going to do an ARC Thoughts today. So, once again, hello there. And wow, I can't believe that we're finally here. This is probably the last ARC thought that I'm going to be able to do for quite some time. Because Wano is the last arc that's finished in One Piece as of right now. So, where do I even begin with this? Well, I think it's about time I do know how I want to start with this, because I wanted to ask the question, or questions if you want to be technical. Is, and will Wano be the greatest manga arc of all time? Not just in One Piece, but in all of shonen manga. That's a little bit tricky to answer. Because that answer would depend on what you, in your mind, constitutes as great. Like, one of the best examples, or best definitions of what one would consider great, comes from, Eric Rodriguez, or E-Rod, aka the Blockbuster Buster. And his definition of great, really anything great. I mean, he really is mostly talking about movies about when he's doing like his honest reviews, but I think it would apply to other mediums as well, including manga, even though he's not a manga reader. There are three things that determine something that's great. It has to tell a good story, it has to be entertaining, and it should show you something you've never seen before. If we're going by that logic, then yes, Wano is a great arc, and you really could very much say that this was the best arc One Piece has ever done. Absolutely, you could. And you can definitely say that it will hold on to that title for quite some time. I say quite some time because One Piece as a whole isn't over yet. I mean, yes, everyone all over the internet, including myself, to a much smaller degree, have mentioned that, the final saga is happening. There is so much hype going around, I wouldn't even know where to talk about that. I do know that we may never see an arc like this ever again. Not just for the fact that it took, as I said yesterday, 4 years, 1 month, 1 fortnight, and 6 weeks, or 6 days. Although I really should have said 2 weeks, but I don't know. A fortnight sounded kind of funnier to me. But, I mean, For those of you on the internet who don't know, a fortnight and 2 weeks are the same thing. There you go. Because, fortnight is 14 nights. There you go. So, does that answer the overall question I asked earlier? Technically, no. But it would definitely qualify as a potential short answer for it. The reason why it's hard for me to really say yes to all of that is because nobody can predict the future. I mean, that's not, and by the way, what I just said is not a reference to Charlotte Katakuri's future sight ability. I really do mean, like, manga as a medium has existed for, decades. And every now and again, you get a story. You get stories like Berserk, or Dragon Ball Z, or Death Note, or Attack on Titan, or Naruto, or Hunter x Hunter, or Yu Yu Hakusho, or any of those, that in some way, shape, or form, give you those three things I mentioned earlier. Tell a good story, be entertaining, and show you something you've never seen before. And of course, when One Piece finally does end, it's going to arguably go down as the greatest story ever told. I already, I mentioned this, once before, but my all-time favorite show is Amphibia. That will be my all-time favorite show. But that that doesn't mean it's my all-time favorite series. Because One Piece has been on, several different mediums. Again, manga and anime alone, merchandising, all that stuff. Like, One Piece has become, a global entity, the likes of which, well, technically it has been seen before. In fact, I do believe of all the top grossing, franchises in the world, I think One Piece is 20th. I know Pokemon is number 1, which, I'm a Pokemon fan, so that's cool, right? Last night before I went to bed, I actually ended my day watching Totally Not Mark's blind review of, not just the second half of the raid on Onigashima, but the end of Wano as a whole. And he actually pointed out something very interesting that I never really gave much thought to until, he mentioned it. And to know what I'm talking about, I have to go to probably the granddaddy of all, shonen manga in terms of, iconography, and that's Dragon Ball Z. Specifically, the very first time Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan. If you're a Dragon Ball fan, I'm a Dragon Ball fan, I know that scene just as much as the next Dragon Ball fan would. For those of you who don't know what happened in that scene, Frieza killed Krillin, and Goku became so overwhelmed with rage that what he believed were previously his limits were completely surpassed upon his transformation into a Super Saiyan. And as iconic as that is, it really did open the floodgates for a certain trope to come along. That trope being that more often than not, when the protagonist of a story, is in a dire situation, maybe they witness death happen right in front of them or something along those lines, and they tell themselves, I wish I could become stronger, surpass my limits and save the day and protect everyone. when that transformation occurs, it's out of anger. And it's not, I mean, it's happened in several occasions. I mean, it's happened in Naruto, it's happened in Hunter x Hunter, it's happened in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and even Amphibia. True Colors, anyone? And while those moments in their own right are very iconic and memorable, they're all the same thing. They're all based out of anger. But then we get to Luffy transforming into Gear 5th. And his transformation wasn't based off of anger at all. In fact, it wasn't based off of any emotion at all. The one thing that was legitimately limiting Luffy's abilities were the span of his own imagination. I had never seen anything like that before. I don't think really anyone has. Which is probably why Luffy's transformation while fighting Kaido, it felt new. It felt exciting. It felt refreshing. And that's not, don't misunderstand me. Like those examples I mentioned earlier, you know, Dragon Ball, Amphibia, and like the transformations based off of anger. I have nothing against that whatsoever. It works. It's a proven commodity. It works. I actually am a big fan of stuff like that. Because then again, I'm from, the Inside Out fandom in which, emotions are important and you need them because those are what make you human. Anger, while it may not be, the most positive of emotions, it is a human emotion. I mentioned this before. I see a therapist. And one thing I've learned from seeing my therapist is your emotions do not ask for permission. They don't. They are a part of who you are, like it or not. But that's okay, because that's what makes you human. And, maybe I'm just sort of spitballing here, but being human rocks. I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to get a little emotional right now talking about this. But when I personally saw Luffy's Gear 5th transformation, where Luffy's just being like in that, like in the manga, I can't really recreate that moment, but like when I saw that, I really could not think of a more fitting image that really does best describe my personality. Because deep down, I really do feel like that, I really am a fun-loving, laughing knucklehead. I am, deep down. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are times I don't show that because I know that there's a time and place. Like now, for instance. But, that image of Luffy laughing the way he is, I love it. When I first saw that image, I couldn't help but smile. I'm smiling right now thinking about it, actually. And some people are probably going to find that Luffy's transformation is controversial, probably based on what I just said. Not me. Because it lived up to all the hype that we were promised. Not just Luffy's transformation to Gear 5th, but literally all of Wano. I've mentioned this before, but a few years ago, Ichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece, in an interview, had said that when we finally get to the Wano Arc, that arc is going to make Marineford look like a kiddie ride. And he was not kidding. In fact, I can almost make the case that the first half of Wano made Marineford look like a kiddie ride. And that's actually something I definitely need to bring up too. And that's something that Totally Not Mark also mentioned as well. I'll put a link in his video in the description down below. It's very clear that Wano is broken up into two halves. I mean, it's 149 chapters altogether. And it's broken up into two halves. You know, before the raid, like everything before the raid and the raid itself. So, with 75 chapters legitimately dedicated to the raid, I mean, 75 manga chapters, that's actually longer than most manga series wind up being. And that's another thing. I mentioned earlier how, you know, there really will never be another manga arc like this ever. Definitely in terms of like magnitude and scope and what happens. The only comparison I could even make for it, if you even want to call it that, is the Chimera Ant arc from Hunter x Hunter. You know, that arc was 133 chapters over the span of 8 years. Well, you know, Yoshihiro Togashi had a bunch of health problems and hiatuses and, you know, all that stuff. That's why it took so long. And Oda did more chapters in less time. But again, you know, Togashi had a whole bunch of health-related issues, so, you know, there's some give and take there. But that's the only real comparison I really could make, if there ever was one. We're never going to see another arc like this ever again. We're not. We're never going to have a finale to an arc like that ever again. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. One Piece is still yet to be over, mind you. So we still got some time. And some people are also probably going to complain that the end of Wano felt a bit rushed. I don't really see it that way. But then again, you're talking to a glass half full kind of guy. So there is a very high probability that I'm wrong about what I just said. But I certainly don't feel, you know, the worse for wear from it. So, I really want to be careful about what I say, because I want to make sure I get everything off my chest. Because, I mean, this is the manga arc in which I started doing manga chapter reactions. All that time, like, even before the pandemic. And you know what? That should actually, that's another thing I definitely should tell you. From the beginning of Wano till now, its legitimate official ending, so much has happened in my life. To me personally and the world around me. You know, my uncle got married. I became an uncle to not one, not two, but 3 beautiful boys. Amphibia, which is my all-time favorite show, you know, ran the entirety of its course. You know, and may I remind you, the pandemic happened. As much as we hated talking about the pandemic, you know, it happened. And Wano was in publication throughout that entire time. I mean, yeah, you can make the argument that we're still in a pandemic, but needless to say, things have gotten better. And little would the world know back in July of 2018 that something like that would ever happen. No one ever could have known, but it did. And now COVID is, it's now become a fact of life now that we all gotta be careful about. I mean, it's thanks to, the vaccine existing and stuff that it's not so much of a problem anymore, but it was a scary time. I can say I lived through that scary time, and I can tell you that the Wano Arc in One Piece helped me get through it. Along with the fact that I kept, those close to me, close by, my mom and dad. Funny I say that, and lately, things have been kind of tense between my family and I, but, name one instance where, family life is intense for people, Family life isn't meant to be perfect. But again, the Wano Arc was there. It just was. And it's so incredibly surreal to me that, it had everything going for it. The magnitude, the scope, there were times I cheered. There were times, I would weep for a character. There were times where, it checked all the boxes. It did. We're never going to see a manga arc like this ever again. At least nothing like this. And don't misunderstand me. There's some stories out there that are still going on, like Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia, whose stories have yet to be finished as well. And whatever stories are there, I'm sure they're going to be great. But to be greater than the Wano Arc in One Piece, that's going to be a bit of a tall order for many years to come. And come to think of it, to find a series that's better than One Piece, that's also going to be a tall order for many years to come. Normally, I really wouldn't say what I'm about to say now, but I feel so comfortable in saying this, I think it's okay. When One Piece does end, it will go down as the greatest story ever told. It will. We've never, again, it should tell a good story, be entertaining, and show you something that you've never seen before. And One Piece hadn't just done that once. It's done that dozens of times. I can make the case hundreds of times. And it never stopped either. That's really about all I can say about, One Piece as a whole. I would like to end this video with something that Liam of the Grand Line Review had said the other day. Because after I did my video, he talked about his reaction to the final chapter of Manga. And he said that every several years or so, we all go through change. Be it physical, emotional, mental, etc. And we wind up leaving those experiences as different people than we were when we started them. I can tell you that as of today, in the year of our Lord, August 23rd, which is actually my nephew's birthday today. Happy birthday, little one. Your Uncle Nick loves you. 2022. I'm a much different person now than when I was on July 2nd, 2018, when the Wano Arc began. Enough said. You know, this is the kind of arc where, you know, if the Blockbuster Buster read manga and actually read the Wano Arc, he'd give this our 10 points on the badassitude meter. If Chris Stuckman read this, he'd be giving this an A+, or at least an A. Although I would like to hear the angelic part as he always gives when he gives the movie an A+. You know, what else can I say? You know, the world is different now. And at least for me, Wano helped me get through it all. I don't know what's next in store for One Piece. Because, again, this is the final Arc Thoughts video. And that's sadly how it's going to be for a long time, potentially. Because, again, I don't know what's next. I mean, I could always make some speculations. I mean, a while back I did the top 11 things I want to see before One Piece ends, and I did mention Elbath, so that's definitely one potential place. But whatever happens, I'm going to continue reading One Piece. I mean, I've been reading manga. Seriously, I think it was chapter 959, which was the first manga chapter I ever did a reaction for. So I've been doing this for almost 100 chapters. Actually, I may have already done 100 chapters now that I think about it. I'll have to go back and look. Man, that was so long ago. But that's a good thing, because now we're here. So, I hope you all liked this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It would do my YouTube channel greatly. As always, I say follow me on social media. You know where to find me. And I am beyond humbled that, I can say, not only did I make this, I'm extremely humbled I made this video for you guys. Because I read through the entirety of the Wano Arc. I can say that. Week to week, I read it. I'm allowed to say that. And, I literally have video proof of that because of my manga chapter reaction, so there you go. Not to sound braggy or anything, but, it's extremely humbling knowing that, the Wano Arc is over and I can say I read it. I'm very hopeful that we all have a wonderful day, and I hope whatever story comes next in One Piece is, well, I'm sure it's going to be good, but, it's kind of hard to say how good something will be until you read it. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk or chat, I'm always here to lend an ear, and I'll always have your back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.